Hello and welcome to Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Layo Olarinde. On the program this week...
President Trump, sir, your message to the people of Ukraine as world leaders gather here today.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky meets with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House, with European leaders rallying in support. Plus, in Gaza City, civilians face the threat of yet another mass displacement as protests mount in Israel against the government's occupation plan. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has returned to the White House for the first time since a highly contentious meeting with Donald Trump earlier this year. This latest visit follows Trump's talks with Russia's President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, raising hopes for peace but also exposing deep divisions.
For the first time since their explosive falling out in February, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky returned to the White House on Monday, greeted not just by Donald Trump, but by a lineup of European leaders hoping to push forward stalled peace efforts. The meeting came just days after Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, a historic encounter long on symbolism, short on results. Putin called the talks long overdue and spoke of Ukraine as a brotherly nation, while hinting at concessions, a freeze on front lines in exchange for Kyiv's withdrawal from parts of Donetsk. But crucially, there was no ceasefire. And that absence is where divisions emerged in Washington.
Putin, you have
President Trump seemed to dismiss the need for a ceasefire before further negotiations to end the war, a stance that drew opposition from European leaders.
The Alaska summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out, and I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. A lot of people are dying, and we got to save them. We've got to save it. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people sometimes a week. All of us would obviously prefer an immediate ceasefire while we work on a lasting peace, and maybe something like that could happen. As of this moment, it's not happening, but President Zelensky and President Putin can talk a little bit more about that. You know, in the 6 or so wars that we stopped, we haven't had a ceasefire, and so I don't know that it's necessary. You can do it through the war, but it would be, I like the ceasefire from another standpoint. You immediately stop the killing. But I believe a peace agreement at the end of all of this is something that's very attainable, and it can be done in the near future. Emmanuel.
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this meeting and for your commitment. And everything was said, but I just have to say here, everybody around this table is in favor of peace. And we work very hard, and we've worked very hard during the past few years to have a peace which is a robust and long-standing peace. This is why the idea of a trilateral meeting is very important, because this is the only way to fix it. And by the way, I think as a follow-up, we would need probably a quadrilateral meeting, because when we speak about security guarantees, we speak about the whole security of the European continent. And this is why we are all united here with Ukraine on this matter. In order to organize such a trilateral meeting, your idea to ask for a truce or a ceasefire, at least to stop the killings, as we discussed, is a necessity. And we all support this idea. And in order to have such a long-standing peace for Ukraine and for the whole continent, we do need the security guarantees.
The next steps ahead are the more complicated ones now. The path is open. You opened it last Friday. But now the way is open for complicated negotiations. And to be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire, the latest from the next meeting on. I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
The Ukrainian president, once vocal about NATO membership, said only that new security guarantees were being discussed, a shift away from NATO accession toward bilateral or coalition support.
Thank you so much. I can speak without microphone. Thank you so much. I think that we had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good. And we spoke about very sensitive points. The first one is security guarantees. And we are very happy with President that all the leaders are here, and the security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us in our hearts. They have been online before yesterday, and etc. So a lot of countries on the side of Ukraine, our people, and all of us want to finish this war, stop Russia and stop this war. We spoke about it, and we will speak more about security guarantees. This is very important that the United States gives such strong signal and is ready for security guarantees.
Can you explain?
On Tuesday, the White House confirmed plans are underway for a possible face-to-face meeting between Putin and Zelensky, their first since Russia's invasion began.
The president has spoken to both leaders about this, and both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other. And so our national security team will help both countries do that. Ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy. He's said that from the very beginning, which is why he's agreeable to the idea of having President Zelensky and President Putin get together, and I understand accommodations for that meeting are underway. As soon as we hear more details, we'll be sure to let all of you know.
But even as leaders talk peace, Russia has kept up its attacks. According to the UN, the number of civilian deaths and injuries in Ukraine reached its highest level in 3 years in July 2025, with nearly 300 fatalities recorded in just 1 month.
And to the Middle East, as Israel intensifies its assault on Gaza City, entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble, leaving thousands of Palestinians displaced. For many families uprooted time and again, the struggle to survive has become unbearable.
In Gaza City, families are bracing for another wave of displacement. Israel is threatening to reassert control, a move that could force nearly 1 million people further south. Families here have already fled multiple times, carrying only what they can.
I have been displaced 5 times so far. I refuse to be displaced again, even if it costs me my life. I will not be displaced because the financial means do not allow it. There is no work, no money, and no tents. Where do we go? There is no safe place.
We live in tents. We have been displaced more than 10 times. We went to Khan Yunis, Rafah, and everywhere. And now, if we are forced to be displaced, we do not have the funds for the car that will transport us.
At least 1.9 million people in Gaza, or about 90% of the population, have already been displaced. Aid agencies say any new displacement would be catastrophic, with hospitals collapsed, food supplies running out, and famine already taking hold.
The risk of starvation is everywhere in Gaza. This is a direct result of the Israeli government's policy of blocking humanitarian aid. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians displaced to Al-Mawasi have little or no access to essential services and supplies, including food, water, electricity, and tents.
We don't even need to look ahead of how possibly this could get worse. It has already gotten worse. As you know, shelter has been banned entry for about 5 months. And in that period, over 700,000 people have been displaced or redisplaced. What very often happens is that they have to leave their tents. They may have been provided with a tent, and then they're displaced again, and they have no possibility of taking a tent with them. So there are lots of things that are very challenging with these repeat displacement when you are trying to respond to people where they are.
Meanwhile, inside Israel, the war continues to fuel anger, not just at Hamas, but also at the government. On Sunday, tens of thousands filled Tel Aviv's Hostages Square, the largest rally in nearly 2 years. Protesters demanded Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu strike a deal to bring home around 20 hostages still in Gaza.
We've been protesting for almost 2 years now, with increasing intensity over the past year. This war must stop. The Israeli army must withdraw from Gaza, and the hostages must be released. This is non-negotiable. It must happen. Whether those in power are listening, I don't know. Sadly.
A national strike brought parts of Israel to a halt. Roads, offices, even universities. Outside the Prime Minister's party headquarters, riot police clashed with demonstrators. And far beyond Israel, the protests are also spreading.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Oh, free the land! Palestine is our demand!
I came here today because I am absolutely appalled by the genocide that is continuing in Gaza, that we are seeing Netanyahu wanting to completely occupy parts of Gaza City and so on and exterminate and eliminate the Palestinians from their homeland. I'm also appalled that the Canadian government has allowed arms shipments to continue to Israel unabated, which are fueling this genocide. And I think that we need to keep protesting around the world in our thousands and in our millions to bring an end to this genocide.
Arms embargo now. And for me personally, it's stop starving Palestinians, stop starving children and babies.
The Dutch government still, despite repeated calls from the international community, still refuses to take action. It still refuses to end its complicity as its biggest trade partner. We have a responsibility as a country, as a member of the International Criminal Court, to take action to stop genocide. Yet our government, our municipalities, the companies still will not do it.
You'd be forgiven if you didn't know that the majority of the British public are for a ceasefire, are for the humanitarian aid to be let in, are against what the government is doing in Gaza. Time and time again, we have seen these actions grow and grow, and every time the government chooses to crack down in an attempt to dissuade people from joining, you see more and more people speak out. The government knows exactly what it is doing. It is turning a blind eye towards what is taking place. And we are here outside with a red line to remind them that we will continue to escalate our pressure. We will continue to pressurise them to stop all complicity.
With pressure building at home and abroad, Israel's war cabinet says the fighting will not stop until Hamas disarms and hostages are freed. Hamas says it will not lay down arms without an independent Palestinian state.
Welcome back to the program. Pakistan is once again battling a ruthless monsoon season. In the country's northwest, more than 350 people have been confirmed dead after unprecedented flash floods caused widespread destruction.
In Pakistan's northwest, entire villages have been swept away. Buna district is the worst hit. Officials say more than 200 people have died there.
Where we are standing now, there used to be 4 to 5 families living here. Tragically, they have been swallowed by the earth. In Buna, I have never witnessed such devastation in my life. This is the worst catastrophe the region has faced. Hundreds of people have lost their lives.
On Friday, more than 150 millimeters of rain fell in just 1 hour. Witnesses say the first surge lasted only seconds, but the second was even bigger. Families had no time to escape.
The water surged in seconds, not minutes, washing away walls. You can even see my car swept away.
Cloudbursts, sudden, intense rains, are becoming more common across northern Pakistan and the Himalayas. They often trigger flash floods and landslides. Across the northwest, at least 350 people are confirmed dead. Many remain missing. On Tuesday, rescue teams with dogs searched through rubble while families buried their dead in mass funerals. With more heavy rain forecast until August 21st, officials fear the toll will climb. Across the border in Indian-administered Kashmir, at least 60 people have also been reported dead and 150 injured. While the monsoon season from June to September brings about 3/4 of South Asia's annual rainfall, which is crucial for crops, it also brings landslides and flash floods. This year's monsoon has been especially deadly, with at least 650 people killed in Pakistan alone. Experts warn melting glaciers and climate change are making floods worse.
And we're here in Africa, in Cameroon's cacao heartland. Indigenous farmers are proving that protecting the rainforest and making a living can go hand in hand. With global cocoa prices soaring, the pressure to clear forest is rising. But a new initiative shows that higher yields don't have to come at nature's expense.
26-year-old Rene walks through his family's small farm, inspecting each stalk for flowers that will soon become the prize beans driving a global chocolate boom. It wasn't always this way. For years, he struggled to make ends meet, and the temptation to clear more forest for bigger harvests was constant. Now he produces premium cocoa without cutting down a single tree.
We live with the forest, and the forest lives with us. When we take care of the forest, it provides for us and helps our cocoa farms thrive.
Rene is Baka, one of Central Africa's indigenous peoples who have lived with and from the rainforest for generations. The forest is their pantry and pharmacy, but it's also under threat.
Indigenous people, like the Baka community in Cameroon, are the guardian of the forest. They have been maintaining the forest for centuries. They live in the forest, they live around the forest, and they really depend on it for their food.
Backed by the UN Environment Programme and the Global Environment Facility, the Congo Basin Landscapes Initiative trains farmers to double yields from existing plots, cutting the incentive to clear forest.
One of the key elements of the Rainforest Alliance certification is the protection of natural forests. By avoiding deforestation, we are maintaining the habitats for endangered species, for the high biodiversity we have in the Congo Basin. And by doing this, we are also maintaining cultural geography of indigenous communities.
So we're helping them understand the principle that people need nature to thrive, to understand also that frontiers don't really apply to forests. Indigenous people are very important in protecting ecosystem. They are the guardians of this forest, especially in the Congo Basin. Their traditional knowledge and the way they relate to these forests is very important, and we can learn a lot from them.
The Congo Basin is one of the world's largest carbon sinks and home to elephants, chimpanzees, and over 11,000 species. Its survival and the fight against climate change depends on people like René and on finding a balance between growth and conservation.
And finally, in China, a stunning feat of engineering. The Huajang Grand Canyon Bridge is set to open, standing at 625 meters above the Beipan River. Now, that's nearly 200 meters taller than the Empire State Building and 9 times higher than San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. Take a look.
Soaring 625 meters above the Beipan River, the Huajang Gorge Bridge is about to set a new world record. Taller than the Eiffel Tower and nearly 200 meters higher than France's Millau Viaduct, Alliance considered the pinnacle of modern bridge design. Drone footage captures the span stretching across cliffs so steep they're nicknamed layered cakes. Instead of tunneling through, engineers cut directly across the mountains, speeding up construction while reducing long-term environmental impact.
Building roads through mountains doesn't just improve transportation, it attracts tourists, boosts local growth, and gives villagers a real sense of pride. It makes life easier and strengthens connections between people.
Construction began in January 2022 at a cost of around $300 million. In just 3.5 years, workers assembled a 4-lane suspension bridge almost 3 kilometers long, built from 93 steel truss segments weighing as much as 3 Eiffel Towers. For locals, it's more than an engineering marvel. The journey across the canyon, once an hour of winding mountain roads, will now take just 1 minute.
My immediate feeling is awe. As the saying goes, the best bridges in the world are in China, and the best in China are in Guizhou. The skill and dedication of Chinese workers is truly incredible. As a native of Guizhou, I feel deep pride. Our hometown has turned the old fable of the foolish old man who moved mountains into reality, proving that perseverance can become technology, and technology can reshape our future.
Beyond its role as a vital transport link, the Huajang Gorge Bridge is also a destination with glass observation decks, a sky cafe, and even bungee jumping and ziplining. Guizhou now lays claim to half of the world's 100 tallest bridges, symbols of China's drive to connect remote provinces, cut transport costs, and unlock new opportunities for millions.
And that's the program for today. You can find all our top stories and more on channelstv.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.